Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Not Just Adulting podcast, where we are unraveling the realities of adulthood because adulting is not always in a straight line. I'm your host, Phylicia D, and I am so excited for you guys to join me on this new journey that I am so excited to go on. So, this is the very, very first episode. I am souped about it, and I'm excited for you guys to see it. But I wanted to make sure that I put out this disclaimer before we get started. This is the first episode. And so with anything new, there's going to be some trials, okay? And so for our first trial, we forgot to take the grid lines off of the video. And for those of you who don't know what grid lines are, you will see slightly because we are editing those out as much as possible, but it's basically the lines that you see on cameras just to make sure that you're centered, right? And it's still up there. And now I was going to redo the interview over again. I was going to redo the whole thing over, but I'm just like, I want y'all to know that this podcast is real, and I'm just going to let y'all see the real that comes with it. So this very first episode is my baby that I am proud of, and I'm excited about it. So I just had to put that disclaimer out, but stay tuned and check out this very first episode. We're talking about traveling. Welcome to Not Just Adulting, a podcast dedicated to untangling the realities of adulthood because adulting isn't always in a straight line. And don't we all know that? I am your host, Phylicia D. And for those of you who know me, what's up? How y'all been? What's going on? And for those of you who are just seeing me or hearing my voice for the first time, welcome. I hope that you thoroughly enjoy this podcast, but I really hope that you enjoy this episode. In this episode, we are going to talk about traveling, okay? We are now in the winter months, and we're probably starting to plan our spring trips. So I definitely wanted to talk about this topic because when it comes to traveling, a lot of us are kind of new to it, right? Like, let's keep it real. When you think about it, like, because you might be in your early 30s, early 40s, and it's just like you're just really getting your life started in this way. And I know personally, a lot of my traveling throughout my adulthood was always with my parents or with my family in some way, right? I think I took maybe one trip with a group of friends as an adult outside of the country, okay? And that was to St. Martin. That was beautiful. But, that was probably the first biggest trip that I ever took without my parents being there. Like, I was the adult, right? And then I went on a couple more trips, but that was probably the first one that I went on where I was with other new adults. Like, I still have to get used to that whole thing, right? And so that's why I wanted to really dive into this. I took to social media just to find out what some of the struggles are when it comes to traveling. And I did find that a lot of the answers were very similar. So I'm just going to read a few. I did have Patrice Janae on Instagram say that if I'm going by myself or with someone else, that's what she's trying to figure out, that she struggles with trying to figure out how she wants to go on trips. KJS Sammy said the right flight times. When is the best time to fly? And then I had S. LaDonna say that she brought up a really good topic, and it was about traveling with groups. So she said that planning a group is difficult because everyone has an opinion, but don't want to plan it. And if she's planning it for herself, it's easy, right? So doing a solo trip. But I want to make sure I pick the best resort in the villa. So who do you go with if you're going to go with anyone? And where do you stay? And then I had another person say, Happy Go Lucky 6, where to stay is 100% what I struggle with most. Kimberly T said the funds to do what I really want to do on a trip. So plans change for the trip, etc. So that's like excursions or activities. And then Miss Butterbug said money. Okay. And Trap Star Yaz said the best time to travel. So what time of the year, especially when it comes to finances and how to budget and everything. So we're going to dive into that topic today. I have a very special guest that is very dear to my heart. It's one of my friends. that I have met through working through an airline. And she's traveling all the time. I'm always following her pages, seeing where she's going and what she's up to next. And every time she goes out of town, I'm like, I can't wait till she comes back just to find out where she's been and how it went. And so I'm kind of like living vicariously through her until I figure out the best ways to travel. So I want to introduce you all to Deonna. Let me just introduce y'all to my girl, Deonna. Okay.
Hey, y'all.
Gotta get in that part. I don't even know if they're ready. Like, I don't even know if they're really ready for you.
Okay, so, we're going to try. I'm going to ease them into it.
Exactly. Like, y'all don't even know what y'all in store for because this girl right here. So I want y'all to meet Deonna. She is a San Francisco Bay Area native who's been soaking up the SoCal sunshine since 2008. After graduating from San Diego State University, she packed her bags and headed to the Los Angeles area, where she launched a career in the airline industry and discovered her love for exploring the world. Since then, Deonna has visited 16 countries and 21 states with a dream to experience all 50 states and every one of the 195 countries on the map. For her, travel isn't just a goal, it's a lifestyle. Alongside her fiancé Tyrone, Deonna is building Be Back Real Quick, a travel brand that inspires others to explore the world. Through their podcasts and social platforms, they share travel tips, memorable stories, and must-see destinations to help adventurers plan their next trip. So, of course, before the episode ends, we're going to make sure we give you the link so that way you can follow Deonna and Tyrone on these journeys. But officially, welcome to Not Just Adulting.
Thank you for having me, girl.
Listen, I had to have you on here because I love following you on social media and then just like in real life, just listening to your stories about traveling. So what, like, besides getting into the airline industry and seeing people fly out every day in and out, what really like spiked your interest in traveling to basically all over the world, like everywhere?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question because I don't know that I've ever really like thought about, let's see, how did I like start? Like like growing up, I would take little like road trips with my family, but like literally we would like pack in a car. Actually, going back, my dad actually like applied to work at an airline, and during his like it wasn't even probation. It was just like during the process of him applying and trying to like get on, they actually extended the flight benefits out to him or to us. And I remember one time as like I don't know how old I was, probably like in the second or third grade. I remember we flew from the Bay Area to LA and we went to dinner in LA at Red Lobster and then we flew home.
Come on, Red Lobster.
I remember doing that as a kid. But I used to remember being in college and I remember like people going to like study abroad and like that wasn't like financially feasible for me. And it was just something that was like always on my mind. Like if I can't like do what I've like set out to do, like with my degree, like I would just love to travel the world. And I think that would like make me happy. And ironically, I met this person at the retail job I was doing. And this guy was like, you have like a really great personality. Have you ever thought about being a part of an airline, being like a flight attendant? And they're kind of like lightly told him it was like on my mind. And he like gave me his email and like we were in touch and I applied for the airline he worked for, which they like never called me back, but it's fine. They're not an airline anymore.
They're lost for
they're
sure.
Not even an airline anymore. It's fine. But
that's fired.
But like I didn't stop trying from that point, and that was maybe around 2011. And ironically, I ran into this person when I was doing this temporary assignment for the job that I have now. So and it was like this 6-7 years later I ran into this person and like we had to like figure out like why we had known each other and like we put it together. And so like ironically like now we work together kind of like in this weird like full circle moment. So I always like whenever I see him, like I just like thank him for like extending that like little seed out to me, and like it just kind of stayed in my brain. And yeah, like I just like I'm very grateful that like he pushed me in that way, and just, you know, hey, like it was almost like he like confirmed that this is like what I was supposed to be doing. if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like how I got into it as well.
Yeah.
Like somebody was just like, you know what? Like you like people. Let me tell you about my job. It's kind of like one of those things. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. So
I
I
agree.
definitely get that. It
We gotta
feels
give
good.
props to the people who just kind of like put us on, because like I honestly feel like this field is very underrated, and like
Hmm.
on top of like customer service, like there's so many other things that like you can do within the industry, and it doesn't have to just be like working with people. You can like work with the machinery, you can like
Yeah.
do HR, you can do law. I mean, there's like so many avenues um in this industry, so like really real untapped. Like if you're interested, like try, like apply, and once you're in it, like you just like you have the like the world like literally like right here.
Exactly. Like it looks really good on your resume. Once you like really do that breakdown, you're like, wait a minute, I might be eligible to work in this or that because like you said, you have like marketing, honestly, like that's one of the things that you develop just from being able to just work in the airline in general, like
Yeah.
tech, because you're on computers and stuff. So it's,
Right.
it's all different types of things. So I love that. One of the things that you had mentioned was when your dad was getting into it and you were thinking about like feasible ways to travel. Let's get into that, okay? Because that's pretty much one of the biggest things that hold people back from traveling, right? Like we're in the winter months right now, probably planning for spring travel.
Right.
And when I took the social media and I'm like, you know, what's some of the biggest struggles that you have when trying to plan your trips? You already know. Money was the first one
Of course.
that popped up. So I want to just see from you, like, what are some of the things that you like to do, or maybe some of the sites you like to use, or some of the resources that you like to use in order to plan a budget-friendly trip?
Yeah, really, I'm really about budget friendly if I can. We have some sites that we have access to like within the industry, but that's not really like I'm not limited to those sites. A big one that I like to use is a website called Hotel Tonight. And I remember when it first started, you could only book a hotel tonight. Like you like especially when I would go to like I was like always going to Las Vegas. But it would be great. Like you would just like log onto the app, see what was available like on the strip, and it would just
Okay.
be like for tonight. I think that they released the prices at like noon that day, and you could like book from like noon to like midnight kind of thing.
Hmm.
But it literally was Hotel Tonight. But they've extended it where you can actually book a hotel like long term. And ironically, with like out like jumping ahead, I used that app and I found out that there's a destination that people really probably thinks like very expensive that we
Hmm.
found to be very inexpensive.
Okay.
We could deep dive on that in a second, but Hotel Tonight's like a big one. I know a lot of people have had success with like Priceline and that like name your price tool, or I don't use it that often, but there's a portion where you can like bid like on an area and it gives you a specific price. Like
Oh,
I know some of
nice.
my friends like use that tool. Google Flights, I know that's
Hmm.
another tool that I personally haven't used like long term, but I have used it to like look up like what the cost would be if I'm like comparing things.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of good resources out there, and everyone uses like Expedia, and like I have seen that Expedia and like Orbitz, I guess,
Yeah.
are like less expensive. Like if you're looking for an airline ticket, it's like less expensive than sometimes going through the airline website, but that also comes with um like caveats. So you want to be careful using some of those third party sites.
Hmm.
But if you're looking to save $1 and like maybe you don't have like a loyalty to a specific hotel or a specific airline,
Yeah.
those sites are really good. But I do know that there are people who are like loyal to a brand, and you want to book direct. So like it just kind of depends on the kind of travel you're looking for and how you travel.
Yeah. You actually didn't jump the gun, by the
Okay.
way, with that statement because it actually leads me perfectly into my next question. Like, tell me a story about a trip where you went somewhere that, like you said, people may think is going to be more expensive than, you know, and you actually were able to find out that it didn't cost that much and you actually had like a very luxurious experience on a budget.
Yeah. Okay. So We take like two big trips during the year. My birthday's in February and Tyrone's birthday's in July.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we often are just kind of like ping ponging or trying to find like I'm in the winter months, he's in the summer months, so we're trying to like find out like where is the medium? Are we going to be cold? Are we going to be hot? Like we have to
Yeah.
like figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember like we were like randomly like laying in bed one night and he was like, "Oh, I want to go to Amsterdam for my birthday," and it was July, and everyone knows that Europe in the summertime can be kind of expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So we were looking in like Amsterdam was very expensive in July. So I said, "Let me go to a hotel tonight, and I'm just gonna like throw in Dubai, right?" And I mean, like I looked it up, and I was like jaw dropping, like flabbergasted, like how
Yeah.
cheap these hotels were. Now, like to be fair, Dubai in July, it's extremely hot. It's not
Mm.
unbearable, but like
Okay.
if you've been to the desert, like Palm Springs or Las Vegas or like Arizona, in the summertime, like that dry, like desert heat,
I
like
was going
it's,
to ask that too. Like, is
yeah,
it East Coast hot or is it West Coast hot? You know, we're
it's like
comparing it to how it is in the States.
dry.
Okay.
It's not like there's not it's not humid.
Okay.
It's dry, but it's like it's hot. It is
Mm-hmm.
hot. But the hotels were so inexpensive, so inexpensive. I would imagine this is probably like the low season for them. People, they probably don't get a lot of tourism because of the heat. But we were able to experience Dubai in July. And we went like I looked from that little search on Hotel Tonight. Like we went to Dubai, and let me tell you, like it's a really cool place.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back there because I know that there's some things that like have been built since our trip. And that was maybe back in I want to say it was like 2018. I think we
Mm-hmm.
went to Dubai. But yeah, like I discovered that it really wasn't that expensive. Your money kind of goes pretty far, being from the United States. Um, so yeah, like that's a trip that like it definitely took us by surprise, like at how inexpensive it actually ended up being. And like, I think that like the stigma, I guess stigma is like the right word, like is that it's like this like lavish place, which you could absolutely make
Make it
Dubai a
lavish.
luxury, lavish
Mm-hmm.
vacation, but you can also um like take your time and not spend like your whole life savings going there. So
Yeah, that's on my bucket list for sure.
highly recommend it. You try it at least once.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna love it. I actually have a friend from high school who used to live there
Oh
because of
wow.
the airline that she worked with, so she was able to get based there.
Yeah.
And I don't think she wanted to leave. Like she didn't want to come back to the States. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, she lives in Jamaica now. So
Oh, okay,
she was
wow.
just like, she left US and she was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it here no more.
I've heard that
So,
if and I'm not sure if that this is the airline that this person works for, but we'd met
mm-hmm,
a person on Emirates, which is easily
mm-hmm.
one of my like favorite
That's it.
airlines. Like
That's it.
I love flying Emirates. I've flown them maybe think like three times, but I think that they like really take care of their people. I think that they give them housing and like there's like a lot of discounts like within Dubai if you're an employee of Emirates.
Yeah.
Like real like they really take care of their employees. That's what I've
That's
heard.
probably why she didn't want to come back
Right.
because that's exactly the airline she worked for.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I actually ran into her at the airport out here and I saw her and I was like super excited to see her. She's like working on private jets now.
Okay, good for
And
her.
yeah, and so when I saw her, she was like, "Yeah, I'm actually about to move to Jamaica." And I was like, "Your feet don't get too firm on any ground." And I love that for her. Like
Right.
that's goals. Everybody really wants to travel and get out there. So I wanted to kind of talk about, especially because you were saying you can make your experience what you want. So if you want to have a luxurious experience, then you can definitely do that where you go. So I kind of want to talk about like different excursions and activities. Like if someone is new to traveling, which a lot of us are, especially as we're entering into adulthood or, like after having kids, after doing like starting life,
Yeah.
like in this new realm, we're trying to figure out like how to travel outside of traveling with our parents even. And so like how do you or what would you recommend rather for someone trying to travel, like how to like really plan like a fun trip, so like
Okay.
excursions, activities, what would you recommend?
Well, I'm going to start by saying this. Before you start to to plan an excursion, I need you to research. I need you to research where you're going. And I feel like that is something that people don't do. How far is my hotel from the airport? Let's start there, because I've seen it so many times where people will show up at the airport and then not know how are they getting there? Does your hotel offer accommodations or transportation rather? Does your hotel offer
Shuttles and
transportation?
stuff?
Shuttles.
Yeah.
How much is a
Mm-hmm.
taxi? How much is a van? How much is a train? How much is however, a taxi, whatever. I think I said that already, but that's where I want you to start. I need you to start by looking those kinds of things up, because I've talked to so many people and they I have no idea. Yeah, we're just gonna show up, and I'm like, please don't do that. I think that the biggest thing, you want to go into a country even if you've never been there, but you want to go there being I want to say professional, but an expert. That's what I want to say. You want to go into a country like you're an expert of the country, that you're confident about where you're going. It just kind of, I think it deters people from taking advantage of you. So for one thing, that's where you should start. If it's your first trip without a parent or somebody who's used to planning things for you, you need to start there. Second, what do you like to do? I may not like to ride ATVs, but I might actually like to go to museums, or I might like to, do a city tour, or I might, like to be on the beach all day. You want to look into those things. What is it that you like to do? There's a couple of websites that I've been using, or apps rather, that I've been using lately to plan excursions. I can give you those if you want. But before you do that, just look at the activity. Look at what you want to do. Look at what you want to do, and how much does it cost? What times does it operate? Does it require me to have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Because if it does, I can't be at the resort slamming them back until midnight, 3 a.m.
All inclusive. Come on.
So there's a lot of things that can really go into planning a trip. And some people are very, very structured when it comes to that. When Tyrone and I travel, we are not that structured, at all.
Okay.
We definitely like to fly by the seat of our pants. So, but still, it's still part of our planning. Okay, so we know that this is operating on these days, so we may not need to do ABC tonight, because we should do it after the excursion, so we can actually get up and make it, or whatever it is. I've also been a little bit more adventurous lately, leaving the all-inclusive side. So I guess if you don't know about all-inclusive resorts, I guess since we can start there, there are resorts in a lot of beach communities, like your Cancuns, your Jamaicas, your Dominican Republics, and you fly in, you go to the resort, and everything is already paid for. You your hotel, your drinks, your food, it's all paid for. It's all inclusive. Lately, we've been kind of trying to stay away from all-inclusive resorts, because they designed the stay for you to never leave. So you're literally going to the all-inclusive resort to stay at the resort. And I don't really know how.
You feel like the culture is lost when you do that?
Have you really been to Jamaica? Because you've only been to
a resort.
The resort, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not, you go out and do maybe an excursion, you go do the Dunn's River Falls, or you go do that little rafting thing where they give you the massage, and then you go right back to the resort to eat and drink. So being able to explore a country freely has been something that's been pretty important to us. So again, that goes with research. What is this country known for? How do you do it? How do you get there? Things like that. So that's kind of how we start. I think a lot of people need to research, and I don't think that you get a lot of that maybe
nowadays.
The first time. Yeah. So that's what's really important. What is this country known for? What do people eat out here? How do people get around? Stuff like that.
That's great. And it makes me think about this conversation that I was actually having earlier today, because all I've been thinking about as we were preparing for this this episode in particular, because I know it's such a big deal with everybody right now, especially post COVID. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we all want to get out, we want to travel,
Yes.
like we want to get out there. You only live once, right? And so I was talking to someone earlier today, my friend Deonna, which we both share, and she was telling me about her experience when she went to Colombia.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and she said that, like when you go certain places, like you said, you might hear rumors of things that may take place or whatever. And so she said she had heard in advance that she has to be very careful in people trying to extort, for money or, just to be like really careful. And so she said that before she and her boyfriend went to Colombia, they had already made the agreement, no, we're going to tell everybody no. That's just the answer. If somebody comes up to us, no, that's just the answer. And so she told me that in her experience, she said that someone came up to her. I think it was like just a local around the way that was super nice. And I believe that he spoke English and was like, I could show you guys around. And of course, like you said, you want to get out of that resort. You want to get out of that. You want to be able to be immersed in the culture, right? Because you're in another location. And so someone had seen her and her boyfriend speaking to this guy. And then that's when things just went left and was just like, you'll never make it out of this country alive. Threatened to kill her. What else did she say?
I think that he wanted money from her. Like they wanted like money for it to go away. But it was like an exuberant amount of money. It was like something like crazy.
Yes, it made them feel super threatened. And
Right.
I was just, my jaw dropped when I heard that because I was like, that's crazy. Like, it's like when you think about taking a vacation, you think about traveling, you don't think about that part. You just think about, I'm about to go out there, I'm going to take this picture, I'm going to be stunting for the gram like this,
Exactly.
Because I think that a lot of times people just want what they see on social media, Like when you were just talking about Jamaica, I saw the falls you were talking about because I see everybody do that.
Right.
I'm thinking mud baths, getting the scrub.
That's right, girl.
And so I love that you said that because that's absolutely true. So safety is one of the things that needs to be researched as well.
And if I can add something to that real quick before we move on to the next topic.
Absolutely.
Like YouTube has like a really good, like you can type in like scams of XYZ wherever you're going. And I remember when I went to Thailand, that was something that I researched, and I actually did come across some like the same thing like our friend did. And like one of the examples was they're going to tell you that the temples are closed, but that's like an effort to like get you to get into their tuk-tuk or their taxi, and they're going to take you to all these different places that like they have agreements with and get you to buy stuff. And if you don't buy stuff, then like you might run into problems. So like the same, like I said, like do the research, because if the website or whatever is telling you the temple's open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it's 12 and that someone's trying to tell you that the temple's closed, there's a good chance that that person's trying to take advantage of you. And same thing, you have to just be vigilant. Like if you're not going to stay on the resort, because there's a lot of places that are going to tell you that like in the United States, just like if you go to like the state travel website, like everything is dangerous and people get really like afraid to travel. But
yeah,
I mean, if you think about like going outside into your backyard, there's dangerous places in our city. You have to be vigilant. You have to be vigilant about like who you talk to, what you're wearing, how you're moving with money, like all of these things. People are always watching, and they know like a lot of like places that are amazing and beautiful. Their people are struggling financially, and they're not as like abundant and wealth like we have more opportunity maybe here in the United States. So you have to keep that in mind when you're out and about, because people are always watching you, always watching you.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why right now something that's super popular and has started to progress over the years in popularity is like when you're going to a new location is to stay with a host family.
Yeah.
So that way it's just like it's a way to, like, again, like we mentioned, get immersed into the culture, but also so that way they can accompany you to the different locations and tell you, okay, this is where you really should go. This is where you really should not go. And they can show you a good time. And I've actually met a couple of people, maybe like 3, that have talked pretty highly of that experience. So
I would imagine
Just
that
in
would be
case somebody's
good.
listening out there,
Yeah.
maybe look into it.
Because I've heard two
Yeah.
things like that. Like if you go out, maybe you want to go shopping, like there's the local price and then there's the tourist price. And if they hear your accent's different, like they might give you the, a different price. So that's probably a good way to like see things if you can find a
Why
host
not?
to stay with. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Especially if you're into like doing like solo trips or anything
Right.
like that. That might be a good thing. But speaking of solo, I want to talk about groups
Okay.
because, we always want to have like a nice girl trip or maybe a couples trip or, like different experiences. So I wanted to bring up this conversation that I had last month. And said person, because I didn't get a chance to confirm with her this, okay, if I share her story, so I'm not going to drop her name, but I'm going to tell a little bit of her business. So she went on a cruise with her friend, right? Her friend was like, hey, I want to go on this cruise, want to get out and have a good time. And she was just like, all right, cool. Like, I'll meet you there. Like, let's go. So they get there, and while they're on the cruise, the friend was obviously super excited, who's not excited for a trip. And so the person that I was talking to had mentioned that, like, she started out the conversation like, yeah, we're not friends anymore. Because I was like, when I saw her come back, I was like, how was your cruise? How was your trip? Yeah, we're not cool anymore. But, the trip was okay. And of course, I'm like, okay, why? What happened? This is your friend. You went on this trip. And when I saw her before she flew out, she was super excited, super cute. She was ready to go. And so I asked her what happened. And she said, one thing that took place was that the friend that she was traveling with woke up early in the morning to go get breakfast.
I think I know
and she
exactly
was just
who
like,
you're talking about.
Girl, yeah. She said, I'm not getting up to go get breakfast. Like, I want to sleep in. And then, the day goes through, the girl goes to get breakfast or whatever. And then later on in the trip, I think while the girl was getting dressed or something, she's blasting music, turning up. Person I talked to was just like, yo, turn that music down. And she didn't say it like that. She probably added a couple of colorful words. And the girl's looking at her like, what you mean? You know what I mean? So anyway, make a long story short, I felt like the biggest issue with this experience for them, because it kind of kept going back and forth to the point where they stopped speaking while they were still on the cruise. And they were sharing a room, which is awkward. But
Right.
I felt like the biggest thing was that their expectations were not communicated. Like, this is what I expect to do on this trip, and this is what I want to do. And so that way they were on the same page. And it's kind of like how you mentioned with you and Tyrone, when you go, you're not really that structured. It's not like we got to do boom, 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 boom. It's kind of like you go with the flow. So let's talk about groups. Okay. How do you navigate that? And let's start with the planning, because we all know you can start with 10 people and end up with like 3. So
Okay. Well, okay. Groups they can be really tedious. And I think that you, again, have to start with people who are like you, people who maybe like do the same things that you do, because that can get really hairy if you have this person that doesn't want to go out at night, or this person that doesn't want to get up early, or this person that wants to go and I keep bringing up the ATVs or horseback riding, because it's like a common thing that people do. I don't need to spend my money time like doing that. I'm very much a swim up bar kind of girl.
Ooh, come on, swim up.
So that can create a conflict if this person's expecting to go out like every day and do this trip or this excursion and this excursion and this excursion. But I guess before you get to the resort, the group chat, right? Like you said, you start with 10 people.
Come on. The thread.
You have to be prepared for it. You have to know that, like, even though you love these people, like, not everyone's finances are going to be like on the same page. Scheduling, work, whatever. Like, you have to throw it out there and then expect it to scale down, because there's a great chance that the 10 people that you start out with that you really, really love and want to like mingle with for this couple of days abroad will not come together. And it's just like for various reasons, but just be prepared for it. And like, there should be no hard feelings if like they can't like people can't come through for you. And you might just want to get your core like 2 or 3 people. Like, I know that there are certain people that I would not even like broach the idea,
consider traveling with.
and I don't love them any less. It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't think that you're like, I don't say my pace, but like I might not be your pace either.
Right, exactly. You never know. Like I did post a question on social media, on my Instagram asking about it. And I was basically saying, like, are you the person who goes or the person who doesn't go? And I got, surprisingly, and it's not that many people that voted, but a lot of people said I'm the person that goes. But you know, it's always, to me, it's always funny when you hear about the group chats, and I really love when people come back from the trips, and I'm like, how was it? And then that's when it's just like, I thought I knew this person, but I never knew them. You know, like it gets different.
It does get so like, and even if like, I mean, I will even say that like the last like big group trip that I took, and there were a good amount of people who went, but you know, it's always the like, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't care. Like nobody cares until like you're doing it, and then it's oh, I really don't want to do this. So it just kind of works better when it's like a smaller group. Because even like I'm planning a trip right now, and there's 4 of us, and it doesn't seem like, I'm concerned that like we're all not going to want to do the same things, but I also think that you have to be okay if people don't want to do so.
I think that's fair. And especially if you go like with a big enough group of people, like you can have the people who don't want to do something go. Like, for example, like a couple of years ago, I went to St. Martin with a group of my friends, and we weren't all into the same things. And what I absolutely loved about the experience is that was okay. Like one day we went to this location where it was just like, you could go swimming, you could go zip lining, and you could go on a hike. It was the best location. And so once we got there, I wanted to go zip lining because I had never been, and everybody else was like, no, I'm not really that interested. And I said, well, do y'all mind if I just go? And they were like, no, go ahead, girl, go ahead, feed, do your thing. And I did. I went zip lining. I made friends, you know, as I went up there. 2 of the others went hiking, and the other one was just sunbathing, you know, and I love that because everybody was cool. We came back together, toasted up, had some drinks, and carried on. And I absolutely love that. And I told them, I said, if y'all ever plan another trip, invite your girl, because this is perfect. You know, like there was no arguing. If somebody said they didn't know what they wanted to do, that was fine. Like, do you want to do anything? If not, that's fine. And we did a couple of things. Like, I think it was one day I was just extremely tired, you know, and I was like, I'm just going to sleep this one out. I stayed in there and slept, and nobody cared. And they came back later. We went out to dinner.
There you go.
I love that. So that to me is the perfect group. Now that was 5 of us. It was 5 of us. Okay. It was perfect.
That's a big group too, for like you guys like kumbaya, like doing different things, like, you know, respectfully. Because sometimes, like you said, it doesn't work out. Like, oh, so-and-so didn't want to do this. I don't know why they came on this trip, blah, blah, blah.
Yes. And you already know, it's always like some people who go onto the side and start having a whole conversation like, did you see what she did? Da-da-da. It wasn't really any of that. It was just like, you good, you good. Yeah. You know, like, you do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. And I think that's perfect. So even like while we're kind of talking about this, like, what are some of your pet peeves when traveling, whether it's from someone else or like what kind of like irritates you the most about like traveling with other people?
It's definitely the, what do you want to do?
Okay.
I mean, and I hate it, and I shouldn't say I hate it, because like I'm also like I said, I'm loose. I'm not like a structure. Like, we're not structured people, but it's when like nobody wants to give their suggestion or opinion, and then it just sometimes becomes like one person's responsibility to make that planning like that. I have learned that it's sometimes it's just best when it's just Tyrone and I. And even like when it's just Tyrone and I, it's kind of like, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, I feel like you don't want to do it because I'm saying, like, you know, we kind of go back and forth, but it's just like easier because at least we know what like works for us, like in our partnership.
Yeah.
And then there's times too where people come and they like don't have money,
Yeah.
They don't have money, or they don't want to split or they want to split the money, like split bills equally.
Oof.
when we know
That's always
that's
tough.
not.
When that check comes, that's when everybody's like, I hate that moment.
And then everyone has different opinions on how that should be done. So
You got accountants that pop out of nowhere.
it just gets so complicated. But like,
Yeah.
maybe that's why all inclusives are better. Everyone pays one price, you just show up and then it's done. But
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So let's have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
I want to get into like a slight game, and it's going to be this or that. And you feel free to expound on some of your answers.
Okay.
But okay. So I got my list here.
All right. I'm ready. I'm
The
buckled
first
up.
one. Come on, get buckled up. Okay. So the first one, and I think this is a perfect first one, all-inclusive resort or hotel.
Okay.
And I feel like you kind of already talked about that
Yeah.
too.
At this point in my travels, like, don't get me wrong, I love a good swim up bar, all inclusive drinks, but at this point, like, if I had to pick, I think that I would lean towards hotel.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I feel like the way that my budget is set up per like what you had just mentioned a few moments ago, I'm gonna have to go all inclusive.
All inclusive. Yeah.
Yeah, that way we don't gotta do all of that extraness. Okay,
That's right.
big luggage or carry on?
Absolutely. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on.
Don't need a whole lot of baggage.
You don't, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to the all-inclusive resort, you're going to wear the same bathing suit a couple of times. You don't need to have 15 pairs of shoes because you're not wearing them. Why are you checking a bag?
Yeah.
I need to know that.
Yeah.
What could you need in that check bag for your weekend of all-inclusive resort?
Yeah, I definitely need to get out of the habit. Like I remember I saw this post before where it was just like I pack so many pack of drawers, like I'm gonna crap myself every day.
Right.
And I have that bad habit, and I'm like, why do I have so many underwear? You know what I mean? Like I really don't need that many. Like what do I expect to happen to the drawers I got on? All right, cruise or ski resort in the winter?
Ooh, so I've never been skiing personally, and I've only
Okay.
been on a couple of cruises. Ooh, this is tough. I would okay. Let's talk about this for a second, if you don't mind.
Okay,
I don't
unpack
mind
it.
a cruise. Again, it's an all-inclusive resort on the water. What I love about cruises is that, like, again, everything's there for you already. You just show up. Like, there's games, there's like all kinds of things to do, day and night, overnight. So cruising is fun, and I can totally understand why like cruise culture is like huge. However, I don't like the limited time that you get to explore a destination.
Okay.
So for me, I was just talking to Tyrone about this. Like, I would definitely go on a cruise. Like, I went on a cruise. Like, the last cruise I went on was a year and a half ago. It was an adults only cruise on Virgin Voyages, and I really enjoyed the experience. But I would recommend going on a cruise to a destination that you've already been to and explored. Because, like, again, and that just goes to, like, back to that whole like all-inclusive concept, right? Like, it's meant to keep you on the like in that area. And most of the ports, like, you get there, like, you can leave at like 9 a.m. You have to be back on the boat by like 6 p.m. And I'm also still like dabbling in nightlife. So I shouldn't say dabbling. I love to go out. I love to go out.
Turn up that part.
I don't just dabble.
That
I
makes
really love it.
sense.
So
It's life.
I really love to go out still. So I think if I had to choose cruise or ski resort, I'd probably pick the ski resort.
Okay.
Because it's it's landlocked. Like, so
Yeah.
even if I'm like on the resort, I can like leave and like come right back.
Yeah.
Which even like
that
for
makes
all
sense.
inclusives, like I have done that. Like, and one of the last times we went to the Dominican Republic, like we left the resort and went to like a nightclub with a couple of people we met on the resort. We like went into town, took an Uber, like, you know, it was fine.
I think that right now, because I am from Jersey and I miss the snow.
Yeah.
Right now, I would love to go to a ski resort.
All right,
Just to kind of like
you should
be
plan that,
in
girl. Let's go.
coolness. Yeah, come on now. I love it. And I would love to put on some skis.
Okay. Yeah, teach me how to ski.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Teach me how to ski. I feel like I might not like it, but at least I tried it. Okay, so because like we mentioned earlier, a lot of people are planning their spring trips now. So domestic or international trip in the spring?
I am probably always going to pick international just because I love to see a new place.
Okay.
But in the spring, okay, so where are some really good places you can go to, like when it's not like New York, because it's not cold anymore, because it can get really, really cold in New York and like can get really, really hot in like New York, and you're from Jersey, like you understand this.
And New York City is always a vibe.
Yeah,
Let me just
it
put
really
that out there.
is. Like,
Always a vibe.
I will 100% agree with you.
I love it.
Let's see, where have I gone? So my birthday's February, so like we do like
They're kind of on the brink.
Yeah, like smaller trips, and like a couple of the international places that I've gone. I mean, I guess I've gone to like two like really good. So like I went to Thailand in February, and that was like amazing, warm. I know this is not what you asked spring, but
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Also been to like Paris, Amsterdam in February, and that was like bone chilling cold. Let's see. I'm always going to say international because I want a passport stamp, even though they're not like doing it like a lot anymore. But I'm trying to think of like some good like spring destinations. I'm trying to think of like where have I gone? Mexico is like always, as much as I like am like trying to not go all the time to Mexico. Like I like the weather in Mexico is like always like perfect,
beautiful.
And I did spring break there once or twice. So like. Yeah, I'm gonna pick international, but yeah, there's some like great places like here in the States. Texas is nice if you like to go down like Austin. Like have you been to Austin before?
I've been to Houston.
Okay. Austin
that was fun. That was in December actually.
In December, so I mean I'm sure like it's not like
winter,
like not like super cold. It's probably like.
It felt really good. Like I was able to wear like able to wear like a confused outfit, like shorts and a sweater.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, with some Uggs.
Okay, that's.
But yeah, it felt really good though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can find some like really good, like springtime, like spring break. I know like Florida is definitely like that spring break, like destination, and I don't blame any of you, especially if you go to Miami, because it's like one of my favorite places to go to. So don't blame you at all. But I'm also gonna always just pick an international destination because I want to go to a new country. There's more countries to get to than states, so I'm always gonna just find somewhere new.
I love that. I have a long list. I'm like a baby in the travel world, and especially like my passport only has like 2 stamps, and that's Mexico and St. Martin.
Yeah, I love St. Martin. St. Martin is like one of like, what do we do that? We did that in May, so that was a good time.
I think we went in July.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, oh my God, it was so beautiful. Okay, and then the last one, theme park or cultural museum.
Theme park. I'm just not a museum person. I'm not like a history buff. And I love a good roller coaster, so let's do it.
Yeah, I haven't been on a roller coaster in years.
Come on, we gotta go.
Come on, listen, that part. I have a lot to do. I need to get busy. Okay, so thank you so much for answering all of my this or that questions. Like that was actually fun. Like I had a longer list, but I feel like you pretty much answered a lot of the this or that throughout the interview, which you did a phenomenal job with. So I really have to ask you this one question, which I'm asking everybody.
Okay.
And it is not too difficult, but it's like a way for me to get a chance to know you in a different light, and then for other people to get to know you. What are you currently watching on TV?
Oh, currently watching on TV. I don't even want to say like, it's like, I feel like if I watch some like crazy, not crazy, but like little like not in my age group like stuff on like Hulu. And I'm not like binge watching it, but like it comes like when I like eat dinner or whatever. Like I'm watching this show called Tell Me Lies on Hulu right now. That's what I'm watching like right now, and like I'm getting through it. But if I could tell you like the one thing like we were like really binge watching, I'll give you 2.
Okay.
White Lotus.
Okay.
On HBO. There's 2 seasons of that show. Like really good. And then my like reality trash,
because we all need a little bit of ratchet,
is Married at First Sight. I love that show.
Oh, I like Married at First Sight. My favorite season actually is the one with Deonna and Greg.
Oh, Deonna and Greg.
Yeah,
I
yeah, that's
know.
my
And they're
favorite.
still
That's my
together.
favorite.
Oh, I'm
And
so
they
sorry.
right. Spoiler
I'm so
alert.
sorry. All right,
They are
spoiler
still
alert.
together,
Yeah.
still married, and they have a little boy, I
Yeah, I
think,
think they
right?
do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I
I
love
like that
that.
show. So yeah, that's like
Yeah.
my, I guess like if I could name three things that like I am watching, have watched. But yeah, Tell Me Lies. Like that's what I'm like watching on Hulu right now. I don't have Netflix, so people keep saying I should watch these shows, and I'm like, I don't have Netflix.
Like, I don't have
But
that.
if you want to give me your login,
That part. Listen, if you want me to watch it, drop that
you
login for
should. You
sure.
should like just run the login.
My sister has like almost every login that you could think about. And so on my TV, I have like all of hers, like, and they're like always welcoming her back. And I'm like, thanks. So
She's
that's
not here
definitely
right
how
now, but
I'm
I'll take her place.
exactly. Except she's not here right now, but leave a message. Like, and I'm definitely going to watch. I am actually binging right now Lioness.
Oh, I've heard so many good
Like,
things about that.
and I really like, I feel like I'm late to the party. It's right now, this show has 2 seasons, but I really love it. Like, it's giving me that action that I didn't know that I needed. Zoe Saldana is doing a great job
Yeah.
in that. She's actually one of my favorite actresses. Like, I think that she's so versatile in her skill set. Like,
I agree.
you never really know what to expect from her but greatness. Like,
Right,
so I
right,
actually really do love that. So I've been watching Lioness. And then if I could match you on this one, like
Come on.
my little bit of Ratchet is actually a show on Netflix. It's because I love The Circle, but that doesn't have an updated season. Yeah, that's like a social media
That's a
experiment.
good one.
I love it. But there's another one. Why can't I think of it at this moment? Let me see. Because I like reality TV, especially like reality gaming.
Yeah.
So I love like Survivor, Big Brother.
The Amazing Race?
I have to get into Amazing Race.
I
I've
know.
seen a couple of episodes and I'm trying to fall in love with it.
Oh my God,
I
we
am
love
trying
The
to fall
Amazing
in love
Race.
with it. Oh, I know. It's the one where they're in the pods. Love is Blind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Love is Blind. So
that,
that's
I've heard,
like you've heard some things
I've
about
heard people
it.
like really like it. Yeah.
It's good. I like it. It kind of gives Married at First Sight, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like The Circle meets Married at First Sight. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I may have just made that up in the moment because we're talking about it. But
No, it makes sense because I mean, like, I think the whole premise is that like they talk and they get to know each other before they see each other, right?
yeah, yep. And they can only hear each other's voices. They can't see each other. And then once they get engaged, then that's when they actually meet each other.
I think that you have it like spot on then because like The Circle, they don't know each other, they don't see each other to the end. And Married at First Sight, like they marry each other blindly.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So of course, y'all, if y'all are listening, I want y'all to let me know. You can let me know via social media or email me. But what are y'all watching right now? Like, I gotta know.
I want to know too because I need some things to watch.
Exactly. That part right there. All right. I want to give you this opportunity to let people know how they can follow you to see what you have next. Tell us what you have going on next. And you have a podcast too, right?
I do. We are like on a little hiatus right now, but we're going to jump back into it pretty soon. So look out for us in the new year. Our podcast is called Be Back Real Quick. And you can find us on YouTube. That's where we post and upload. Try to get it up Mondays. But like I said, just stay tuned. If you follow us on Instagram, it's at the same handle at Be Back Real Quick. You'll be able to keep up with us as a couple and find out when Be Back Real Quick podcast will be back. And if you are interested in just what I have going on, which I do include Be Back Real Quick there, you can follow me at Deonna, and that's at DEEONUH, the phonetic spelling of my name. And I post like more than just travel. I have my like crazy outings and weird encounters that I find myself in when I'm outside.
Listen, and I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we're definitely going to include all of her handles here so you can follow her on social media. And if you are listening on Spotify, we'll definitely make sure that we put this in the description so that way you can follow her and see what else she has going on. Thank you so much for coming on. Like,
me, girl.
My first guest, my first interview.
Okay, good. I'm gonna have to interview you now.
Come on now, listen, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm gonna get me a new set of magnetic lashes because these are not giving what they're supposed to give.
I have some in my drawer right now. I gotta go put them on. I gotta figure out how to use them.
Listen, girl, all I'm saying is don't wait till the last minute to try to apply them just in case.
Okay.
Because you should see me and I'm like, oh my gosh. But thank you so much for joining me here. I hope that you had a great time for this interview.
I did.
And
thanks for having me.
I would love to have you back on here again, especially as we're getting ready for maybe the next season of travel and any tips that you might encounter, because you said you got a trip coming up. So we would love to hear how it goes, and you give us some new tips for the next seasons coming up, which is going to be what, summer and then fall. So
coming up soon, fast too.
That part for sure. But thank you
for having me, and look forward to seeing you guys again.
I did want to point out something that I did ask a friend of mine who travels quite often, just so you can have a different perspective outside of someone who does work for an airline like myself and Deonna. And this is from Rayshayla. And I'm going to read this quickly because I thought that this was super helpful. To fund my travels, I transfer $300 from each paycheck to my vacation fund and use credit cards strategically to maximize points and cash back. I treat my credit cards like debit cards, paying them off monthly to avoid interest, and use 2 primary cards for everyday spending to earn cash back, which I transfer to my vacation fund at year's end. I also use a Marriott credit card for hotels and cruises, earning points for free stays and future trips. For additional savings, I leverage AARP's reward program to buy discounted gift cards for airlines, cruises, and other expenses, saving $2,000 last year alone. That's a lot of money for savings. When booking, I prefer direct transactions to avoid third-party issues, track flights via Google Flights for credits if prices drop, and use Marriott points to book flights with partners like Southwest. My accountant mindset keeps me price checking and budget tracking in Excel to ensure every trip is worth it. And she also sent me a picture of the Excel spreadsheet that she uses. So she's super organized with it, and I really thought that that was very useful. So that's something to consider: credit cards and being able to sign up for different rewards programs. Now I do want to add, because I know when you heard AARPs, I know you're just like, how old do you think I am? Now if you do qualify for AARP, shout out to you. Okay, listen, get your discounts. Come on, seniors. I love it. But she's actually young. So sometimes, you might have to do a little bit of research, find some opportunities where you might not have even thought before. So definitely look into different areas, because I remember seeing her post this on Instagram not too long ago, and I was like, AARP, girl, you're younger than me. But that's a whole program that you can get into. And by using your credit cards as debit cards and just making sure that you're not spending more than what you could pay back, you get those cash back points, and then there's a way that you can go ahead and rack up some rewards and use those credit cards to book your flights. So that's something to consider. So just to wrap it up, a few other ways that I have found out that people are also able to save and be able to book these trips is doing like a Christmas club. So that's where you save money throughout the year, kind of similar to what Rayshayla was talking about. And at the end of the year, you can cash out that money and use it towards a trip. Also, something that's been really popular for the last few years is the weekly money savings jar. So that's like where every week you have to put a certain amount of money into the jar, and by the end of the year, you rack up some pretty good money, and that way you can plan your trip if you are one that likes to plan in advance, which a lot of times is going to be the more cost-efficient way. That will help you as well. So that way you can cash out that money and then go ahead and put it towards your down payment even, or maybe pay your trip off. Also, gifts. A lot of people are traveling because they're gifted. Their parents might hook them up, their grandparents, their friends, spouse, whatever. So you want to make sure that you treat everybody good, because they might gift you, a nice trip or whatever. But that's another way that a lot of people travel. Because if you're like me, you're looking at people like, how can you afford to travel? Okay, and this leads me to the next part. Some people can just afford it. Okay, so this might not be for you. This episode may not have been for you, but maybe you can share it with a friend. But some people can just actually afford it. But even if you can't afford it, you still have to budget, right? You still have to plan it out. So you don't want to just throw money away and just waste it. But that's another way that people are traveling and finding ways to get out there. Please continue to send comments and make sure that you look out to see what we're going to talk about next. So that way you could be featured in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Not Just Adulting with your host, Phylicia D. Keep untangling the realities of adulthood because, let's keep it a buck, adulting isn't always in a straight line.